This is episode 205 on the 8th of May 2020.
This is Saurabh, and you're listening to my favorite talk show, The Weekly Show with Aditya.
With the world moving more inwardly rather than outwardly, the question that today comes in the minds of individuals and organizations is, are we equipped to deal with change that is moving on from physical meeting to more virtual meeting, and not just for short term but for a long haul? Is the world overall prepared for the long haul? Seminars which are slowly turning into webinars. What is actually a webinar? A webinar is essentially the more sophisticated version of a seminar, where one doesn't have to worry about the nitty-gritties of whom to invite, the drudgery of booking rooms. Tonight in this very special episode, I will discuss ways to conduct a perfect webinar with all the necessary tools. So let's discuss this one by one. What are the necessary tools needed to conduct a webinar? Here are a few basic things you need to take care of. First you need is a good quality laptop, desktop, or your mobile phone. That is a good quality digital device. Once your digital device is secured in terms of the fact that it is of good quality, it won't stall in the middle of the session, then what we need is a good internet connection. Yes, one may take the definition of internet and broadband lightly, but looking at how I have attended so many such video conferencing sessions, and yet I have seen individuals' video stalling, the internet connection cutting off, individuals having to log in again. So take care of having a good fast internet connection, because despite all the progress in technology, a good internet connection is still a luxury and not something which should be taken for granted. Moving on, your devices are secured, your internet connection is of good quality, fast, and it won't hinder the webinar session you are attending or you are hosting. So it depends whether you are the host in this webinar session or whether you are an invitee, and both these roles will have to be taken separately. So let's look at if the individual is hosting the webinar session. The most important aspect of this is to schedule a webinar on a good quality software. Now, so many softwares are available for the same. There is the most popular software, the video conferencing software Zoom, which has become popular over the past couple of months since individuals have moved on to virtual meetings, educational sessions, e-learning classes. So Zoom is one option. There is also the option of Blue Jeans for organizations who do not think that Zoom is secure enough that if they discuss something sensitive, it won't be hacked. There won't be individuals who will log in and try to disrupt the meeting. So yes, these are some of the very important aspects to be taken care of. Those who have been listening to this talk show diligently, and those who remember all the sessions I have conducted, I conducted a special episode on how to secure video conferencing meetings, which includes webinars, e-learning, educational sessions, board meetings, etc. Those who want to know more about how to secure your video conferencing meetings may refer to that particular episode. I will talk more about that later on. After your devices are secured, making sure that the battery doesn't run out, your internet connection is fast, the app that you're using for these video conferencing sessions, be it the Google Meet, Hangouts, Skype, Zoom, BlueJeans, and others, and after all these applications are secured in terms of making sure that there is no individual who comes and disrupts the meeting. After these basics are taken care of, then we move on to the host and the topic the host will discuss. Now, there are a plethora of topics that can be discussed today. Time is valuable. Just like we needed to adhere to time while booking a physical room, one also needs to adhere to the time limits while booking an online meeting. If it's a 45-minute session, then stick to the 45-minute timeline. Do not go above and do not stop 1 minute before the session. Make sure that time is taken seriously even in the context of the online meetings. Now let's discuss about something as ubiquitous as a topic. As I said, there is no end to a topic. It could be just a simple discussion between individuals. It could be a webinar on how to secure the economy of a country. It could be classes conducted by one individual who comes and professes, gives a lecture while others listen passively. Now it depends on the host and the organizers what kind of a session they want to hold. Is it a panel discussion where each of the participants gets a minute or two to give their viewpoints? Is it one individual giving a keynote address, let's say for 10 to 15 minutes, and then individuals, the other passive participants, if one can say so, ask questions? Well, there are so many formats and it's difficult to say which format is the best. Here also, one of the most important things is to make sure that the sessions are not for a longer duration. Means that if there is a keynote address, it should not be more than 10 to 15 minutes or at the max 20 minutes. Then individuals can take a break for a couple of minutes, and then the same individual who is giving an address on a particular topic or on their experience can continue, or we can move on to the next speaker. And in all this, the moderator, the host, plays a very important role. Despite this being a virtual session, despite this being in the comfort of your home or in the comfort of wherever you are, whether it's in your office or whether it's at your home, one still needs to understand that time is still a luxury. One has to make sure that the individuals called for the session, the special speakers, the keynote address speakers, the host has to make sure that these individuals are available during that 45 to 1 hour session. So sessions have to be scheduled a day before. Not just about who speaks on the particular topic, whether it's a webinar, a special session, an educational session, an e-learning class, every participant has to be cognizant. We have to take into account every participant's willing participation during that time. If they are willing to participate between 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. on a Sunday, schedule on that. Make sure that everybody, including the host, the guests, the participants, everybody is ready to be there at that time. And then stick to that 60-minute session. Do not go 1 minute above and do not end 1 minute before. Understand that. Do not take this for granted that just because the session is on your computer, it doesn't mean that that person will be available 24 hours in a day. So you have to schedule the session keeping in mind the schedule of the participants, the availability of the guest speakers, and the availability of the host. Despite these things being very basic, it is still a skill needed to conduct a webinar. Conduct a webinar or any online session the same way you would conduct a physical session, keeping in mind the venue you have booked, the individuals that have been invited, the participants, the registration. Keep that in mind and take it very seriously. As I said, have a good internet connection and make sure that your digital device, whether it's a laptop, a desktop, or a mobile phone, they are working well. They do not stall in the middle of a session. The battery is not consumed fast. Yes, these are the basic things that needed to be taken care of. But if there is the point where the battery finishes or the internet connection stalls, then give the opportunity for that individual to log in again and understand that despite all the technological progress, internet can be stalled, internet connection can be poor. We cannot expect a perfect internet connection all the time. So these things have to be taken into account despite the near perfect expectations to have your basic elements of a webinar done in a near perfect manner. As someone who has attended and hosted multiple online sessions, webinars, and listened to keynote speakers, make sure that whatever the agenda is, it is distributed to all the participants before time so that they can do their own research on that particular topic, so that when the speaker finally comes on the virtual stage and talks about a certain topic, the participants are not caught tongue-tied. They know what the speaker is talking about. They have done their research. They can ask the pertinent questions. Do not waste time asking unnecessary questions, because time, as I said, even in the virtual world, virtual sessions is a luxury and needs to be respected. So if you can follow all these basic elements of conducting a near perfect webinar session, there won't be any doubt that the session will be perfect. Everybody will learn something. If you can keep this in mind, individuals will want to come again and add to their experience. So keeping this in mind, conduct a successful online session and the learning will be as much as it is in a physical session.
This is Saurabh, and you're listening to my favorite talk show, The Weekly Show with Aditya.
This ends part 1 of tonight's special episode. Stay tuned for part 2, and also it's time to take a short break.
This is Saurabh, and you're listening to my favorite talk show, The Weekly Show with Aditya.
Welcome back after the break. Time for part 2 of this special episode.
This is Saurabh, and you're listening to my favorite talk show, The Weekly Show with Aditya.
Now let's move on from the world of webinars and virtual sessions to a more interesting topic, how to maintain a blog. In this part, I will introduce the skills needed to write and maintain a blog. First, let's understand the definition of a blog. A blog is a discussion or an informational website published and consisting of discrete, often informal, diary-style text entries. Let's get into the in-depth of writing a blog. First, one has to understand is that blog is similar to a speech. That is, a blog is similar to a speech. That is, there should be a beginning, a middle, and an end. Means your blog should be structured. Despite the definition including the word informal, it still should be structured. One should know the topic we are writing about. The audience is important, but that comes later on. First, it is up to the individual to write about the particular topic. Now, as someone who has been writing such articles and maintaining a blog or a website for the past 6 years, the question comes to our mind is, do we need to write every day? It's a question which can be seen in two parts. Yes, if it's possible, if you have ideas are coming to you, yes, write every day, but it is not that important. Write when the ideas come in your mind. Make sure that whenever something clicks in your mind, start writing in your diaries or directly on your computer. This is a very pertinent question. Should one write on the diary or on the computer? Well, that depends on the person's nature. For me, sometimes I write on my computer and at other times I write in my diary. It doesn't have to be written in long form. Write it in short form, in the form of a flow chart, that these are the ideas that I have in my mind. These are the bullet points of this particular topic, which then I will expand and then publish it on my blog. And now the second question is, what if similar topics have already been published? Do not fret about that. That will happen. Every individual will have a different viewpoint on the same subject. For example, everybody has a different viewpoint on whether the sporting tournament should take place or not. One school of thought says that if the sporting tournaments take place, it will be detrimental to the health of the staff and the players involved. But the other school of thought says that yes, the sporting tournaments should be conducted because it is affecting the financial health of the sporting bodies as well as having financial implications on the sports players. Now, neither of these thoughts are wrong. It depends on the person's experience. What are they trying to propagate? Remember, it should not be like a sermon. It should be your consistent viewpoint. Yes, you can have two viewpoints in the same article, but make sure that it's not in the same paragraph and they are not contradictory. But before all this, what you need is an idea. And with the definition of idea, I refer to the movie Inception. Those who have seen the movie Inception, I will quote from that movie. Inception is the act of planting an idea in someone else's mind so deep in their subconscious that they believe that they came up with the idea themselves. A few individuals may agree, a few may have their disagreement points. Let's look at this. Let's break up this definition of an idea. If you look at the realistic situation that is happening, ideas generally don't come to us directly. For that, we have to observe, and we have to keep our head on a swivel. Means we need to have a discerning eye, observe things. Sometimes we don't even have to say a word. Be as quiet as a mouse. Sometimes it's better to be like a fly on the wall. Observe, look at things and write it in your blog or the article. Writing a blog is an art as well as a science. Art in the way we write the idea, way we express the idea, we express, not impress. The science is in the technical part, the jargons used, the structure, the title, and how we make sure that it reaches the audience. Maximum engagement with the audience through emails or sending links of the blog, and making sure that whenever we write a blog, even if it is after every couple of weeks, it's updated regularly. When I say updated regularly, I mean that if you write on the 8th of May, that is today, then you write on the 10th of May, that is on Sunday. It means that when you write the article today, make sure that it reaches the audience immediately. If you culminate the writing of the article at 7 p.m., make sure that it reaches the individuals at maximum 8 or 9 p.m. so that the novelty of the idea is not lost. And the same process is to be followed if you write an article on the 10th of May. Make sure that it reaches the maximum audience during the 2-hour window. Then the question comes, will individuals read? Will they react? Will they give their feedback? Well, that is something that is not in your hands. When will they read? When will they give their feedback? Do not fret about that. Make sure that when you write that article, it follows the structure, it has an idea, your engagement with the audience is there, and if you are able to take care of these nitty-gritties, then the individual reading, if they enjoy the article, if they think that the article has something to offer for them, it may not happen, but that is not your concern. If they think that this article is something of importance, they will make sure that they give their feedback. Most of the times, individuals are hesitant to give feedbacks. They don't know what exactly to send as a feedback. Should they be critical? Should they praise? Should it be a combination of being critical and praising? What are the recommendations will the reader give? What will be the commendations? How will they evaluate? Does the reader have enough experience to understand the nitty-gritties of the articles? Are they flummoxed by the jargons used? Because we cannot keep an account of who knows what. We are going to write an article as per our experience. The article is our intellectual property. We cannot be affected by the fact that whether the audience understands the jargons or not, because if you are a writer, then you are also a reader. Means when you read other articles, there will be times when you are also flummoxed by that writer's jargons use, or what is a writer actually trying to convey. And this is where, as a writer who also is a reader does their own research, you read the article, then you read more on that. You read 4 articles of the same topic, you will understand. But that is only when, if you have written an article, you have an idea of what the writer thinks. If you're only a reader, if you have never written in your life anything, then as a reader, you will be flummoxed. You may not understand what could be the recommendations, what could be the commendations. So yes, do not fret over the audience. The audience, it is possible that maybe 1 out of your 100 subscribers or the 100 individuals you send the article to, maybe to understand your article and give a positive response. They give their commendations and recommendations, and even if it is a 0.2 percentage, just be satisfied with that. Let not the audience dictate your style of writing, whether it is could be humorous, informational, educational, entertainment, or any other style you choose. But if the readers understand what you're trying to say, they will be interested. If it doesn't cater to their interest, it's fine. It will cater to somebody's interest. Maybe a year from now, they will understand what you were trying to say. So it's all about a waiting game. So in conclusion, to write a near perfect blog, observe, observe, observe. Have a discerning eye. Keep your head on a swivel. Be like a fly on the wall. And let not the nature of the audience impact your writing, whether it is humorous or informational.
This is Saurabh, and you're listening to my favorite talk show, The Weekly Show with Aditya.
Hope you enjoyed this special episode on conducting a successful webinar with all the basic tools needed, as well as writing a blog with all the basic tools needed. So if you have any feedback on the same, you can get to me on my email ID.
This is Saurabh, and you're listening to my favorite talk show, The Weekly Show with Aditya.
This ends episode 205 on the 8th of May 2020. Stay tuned for the next episode.
This is Saurabh, and you're listening to my favorite talk show, The Weekly Show with Aditya.